dream of home ownership is a privilege not only limited to Canadian citizens. Whether you are a permanent or a non-permanent resident, the Canadian Mortgage Qualification Guidelines grant you the opportunity to acquire financing to purchase real estate in Canada. Let's look at some of the main distinguishing guideline characteristics for newly, nearly, or eventually aspiring Canadians. When it comes to qualifying for a mortgage as a non-Canadian citizen, there are two main classifications that determine which requirements one must fulfill. You will either be classified as a permanent or non-permanent resident. A permanent resident is someone who has acquired permanent resident status by immigrating to Canada, but is not yet a Canadian citizen. Once an individual is granted permanent residence, they must fulfill a 3-year period of residence in Canada before they can apply for Canadian citizenship. In the meantime, you can acquire financing to purchase a home. As a permanent resident, you can buy a home with as little as 5% down. At this stage, the applicant may show very little forms of credit utilization in Canada, and even sometimes none at all. In these situations, most Canadian banks will accept other forms of credit confirmation such as confirmation of rent or room and board for 12 months. If rent confirmation is unavailable, then any 3 of the following can be accepted, as long as a 12-month tenure is shown. After 5 years, a permanent resident must abide by the regular credit and income guidelines set out for all Canadian citizens. Non-permanent residents qualify under similar guidelines, differing only in the following ways. Instead of a minimum 5% down payment, a 10% down payment is required for purchase. And in cases where the non-permanent resident has worked or resided in Canada for less than 12 months and is unable to show alternative sources of credit confirmation, a reference letter from their previous financial institution would suffice. Both permanent and non-permanent residents must provide income verification as per regular mortgage qualification guidelines. Finally, if all else fails, many lenders seem to loosen up their guideline requirements considerably when down payments exceed 35%. For further clarification on qualifying for a mortgage as a permanent or non-permanent resident, please contact the number on the screen to speak to a live mortgage specialist. Home Financing Solutions is an independent franchise of the Mortgage Center, a subsidiary of the CIBC Group of Companies.